Welcome back. Last time we made some questionable moral decisions in the pursuit of shinies. This time we're gonna cave some skulls with our flute. That's right, to repent for our slavery-promoting actions from last time, we're busting into this here diamond mine, freeing the slaves, and killing their lizard man overseers. Now I promised last time to show off some Psycho Dash ricochet attacks, and I will, but I must note that the most efficient way to murder your way through this particular dungeon is with Will's lunge slash. With quick combos of slash, lunge, slash, you can take out the lizard men in less than a second, and the purple worm things aren't that difficult either. Now to the right we see a little cage here, and remember back in the first dungeon when I said that the game was more creative about how it locks doors? Well, in this particular case, that doesn't apply at all. This is the first of the 8 slaves that are in the mine. You free them by slashing at their ball and chain, and because Will is super strong and incredibly angry, he can destroy it with one blow. Now, when I say 8 slaves, I also mean that's 8 including the purple-haired guys that we met in the market last time around. How they managed to get here without us seeing them, I actually don't know. Fortunately, these beholders are perfectly lined up for a Psycho Dash ricochet. See how one took 7 damage and the other took 4? The one that took 7 was the primary point of impact, and then he bounced into the other one. Those worms are quite plentiful and annoying. Their shots can home in. Now remember back in South Cape when that woman told us that she was jealous about how our hair blew in the wind, even though it wasn't really blowing at the time? And I said that it would help us solve puzzles in the future. Well, the time is now. There are walls in this place that can be broken, and we'll know where they are, not by slashing them as we did back in Ittery Village, but by watching to see if our hair blows when we stand in front of them. Now there's a treasure chest over here, which contains an herb. At this point I'm slightly worried that my memory regarding how many healing items there are in the game is woefully flawed. It seems that there are a lot more than I expected there would be. However, the herbs themselves don't heal that much. It's only about 6 or 7 HP. And, well, honestly, the need can them... Sometimes you might need to chug a lot of them, if you need to chug them at all. We'll see how many I can collect by the end of the game. I don't really intend to use them unless I'm actually going to die. And that's probably only going to happen in a boss fight. Now that wooden plank up there was supposed to be some kind of trapdoor, or ladder. It opens when we hit those 4 switches. I actually really like the way this dungeon is laid out. It feels like a mine, and not just a place where we're walking around stabbing things. The way forward is down those steps there. However, there are enemies to be killed up here, and also... Aha! Our hair is blowing, and that means that this wall can be destroyed with the Psycho Dash. And there's a slave behind it. Good thing we did that. Well, that's just incredibly convenient, and it turns out that doing good deeds is actually more profitable than turning in runaway slaves, which makes me feel even worse about last time, to be quite honest. And we don't even have to send the jewels ourselves. He sends them for us. How convenient. Now there's no real need to change into Fred yet, but I want to do it, just because I like Fred's range, and in close quarters, the more time I spend with his sword in enemies, the less time I spend in their hitboxes trying to lunge into them. It's easier to screw up a lunge attack and get yourself hurt than it is to screw up standing a far distance away and just stabbing things with your sword. These beholders can be pretty obnoxious. They fire shots that you can't block with telekinesis, and they have a defense mechanism. If you're too close to them, and they're facing you, they turn to stone. Sword shenanigans let me hit that guy from nowhere close to them. Did I mention I really like the range on that attack? But it's nowhere near as much as I like the range of another attack that we'll be getting shortly. Well, to get rid of the fence you need to kill that enemy up there. However, you can't reach him. So, we need to take the long way around and get that attack I just mentioned. You could play as Will for this particular section, but I didn't really feel a need to. I feel better about dealing with the beholders when I only have to hit them twice, and they can't turn to stone in the middle of a lunge attack, because that's a surefire way to get yourself hurt. It should also be noted that even with the lunge attack, it takes less time and effort to kill things with Fred. It's just 2 swipes, kills everything. And if we get one more point of strength, one shot would kill the worms. Well, we've reached a dead end, but there's that wind blowing again, and fortunately there's a dark space right here that'll let us change back into Will. I kind of wish you could skip the transforming animations after the first, couple times you've seen them. Especially when we get to parts like this. Why do I say parts like this? Because behind this door is another dark space, where we're going to change right back. In this dark space, though, there appears to be a present available for freedom. If there's one power I can think of that deserves, it's Slow Crawl. It is the Dark Friar. I'm not exactly certain what the name of this attack is supposed to be. A friar is... well, it's not a fireball, which is what the attack is. But it's awesome anyways. What it does is when you release it, it fires a slow-moving ball of energy across the screen that just ruins everything that it hits, and it passes through everything. And we have to take it back to that worm. Please excuse my jump cut. But I just couldn't wait to set this guy on fire for 11 damage. So Dark Friar, pretty good. It's also great for killing off multiple enemies at once, unlike the Psycho Dash, which does the whole ricochet thing, which causes less damage to be inflicted on future targets. The Dark Friar does full damage to everything it hits. Alright, that elevator key goes to the grate that we saw back in the second room of the dungeon. So we have to go all the way back there. Now I cut most of it out. However, I'd like to use this particular opportunity to mention something that I really like about the dungeon design of the game. The way the game is intended to be played, there's no dungeon that you can beat just by using Will or just by using Fred, with maybe one possible exception, but I haven't played it in a long time, so I'm not quite sure. Basically, it means you have to switch back and forth, unless you've got the pro speedrun tricks that let you, ignore the things that you need Fred for. This time around, There's no pro speedrun trick that's going to get you a Dark Friar bolt as will. It might be a Game Genie code, though, and that could be interesting to see. I kind of like this elevator. You could see them flying around in the, well, in the foreground earlier, but I don't really understand the noise that it makes. It's the teleporting noise. They're not really teleporting anywhere, let alone repeatedly. Alright, so there's another locked grate. So to find the first key, we go to the creepiest room in the entire dungeon, the morgue. It's filled with basically corpses and worms, which is, gross. But there's one other thing in here, other than corpses and worms. And that is that shiny thing in front of this corpse. You saw it, right? Yeah, that. Now, it says that we found the mine key, but I have it on good authority that it's actually just the first mine key. In fact, there is another. It takes 2 keys to open this last lock. And to do it, we need to free the 5th slave. He's got the key. Fortunately, the Dark Friar goes straight through that fence, whacks his lizard man overseer, and frees him at the same time. And as you can see there, the hitbox for Dark Friar is deceptively large. It almost looked like it didn't hit either the lizard man or the beholder, but in fact it hit both. In this case, however, it didn't quite work out, and we only got the beholder. That's the last enemy for the entire dungeon, so the rest is smooth sailing from here. And there's the other key. The only thing left is to go to the deepest portion of the mine, where we will meet our purple text friends, Imus, Remus, and Sam. Now, I did read a post in the thread that said that Sam was going to be called Samus, which obviously wouldn't have, flew with Nintendo. But what if it was actually supposed to be Seamus? Imus, Remus, and Seamus. I don't know. Who knows what was really going on in the minds of those who localized this game. Now, it's nice that we've corrected our wrongs and all, but there's still the matter of Lance's amnesia to consider. Where could we possibly find a cure for amnesia? Well, that's convenient. And as payment for services rendered, he takes away 2 useless items that we were never going to use again. I think it's a fair trade. It's not like we're slave drivers or anything. And that's it. There's no boss, so the only thing left to do is trek all the way back to Phrygia. Next up.